So we are here. Imrana, student of class 10, section B, and she and all her classmates are helping the students of class 11 in giving farewell party to the students of class 12. Last month, she played for section team in a game of Kho against the team of class 10, section A. She goes back home in a bus and joins all the students from various classes. They all come from Trans Yamuna area in Delhi. Back home, she often joins her elder sister, whose name is Naima, in complaining against her brother, who does not, who does no work. So her brother does no work at home, while the sisters are asked to help their mother. Her father is looking for a good match for the elder sister from a Muslim family, and while with a similar economic status from their own biradari. So let's see what is it. Can you list the various kinds of, we can see that Imrana has various identities. At home, she's a girl. In terms of religion, she follows Muslim religion. In the school, she's an all rounder because she can be seen being helping for the farewell party. Then she can even be but, good in sports because she's representing her section, and so on. So you can give different identities according to the paragraph listed above. Okay, so why do we have, okay, so whenever any division or anything differences are there, people are always there to take advantage of it. And no matter, and taking advantage is just very common. Whoever is vulnerable, they are very much likely to be uh, exploited by the other powerful group. Let's see that what is the politics of social division. How do these social divisions affect politics? What does politician do to these social divisions? At first sight, it would appear that a combination of politics and social divisions is very dangerous and explosive. Democracy involves competition among various political parties. Their competition tends to divide any society. So we might see that, especially that we might feel that a democracy, in due to democracy in politics, we see so many blame gaming and putting the other political party members down, because even everybody wants to win the seat and etc. Okay, and that is why we also say that this can lead to a division in the country, disunity and so on. If they start competing in terms of some existing social divisions, it can make social divisions into political divisions. And due to these divisions, social differences they have, um, these might sometimes lead to political divisions and even lead to conflict, violence, or even disintegration of the country. This has happened in, and this we've seen in so many countries, that their social differences has been taken as a point of opportunity to create a disturbance in the country. Range of outcomes, what can be done. See, for example, if we take the case of northern Ireland, okay, where we saw here, when we took the example, we saw that why Northern Ireland had, a class and religion overlap with each other, because if you are this thing Catholic, you were more likely to be here. Okay, if you were Catholic, then you were also more likely to be poor, and you may have suffered a history of discrimination. Okay, but in the Netherlands, what happened that class and religion tend to cut across each other. It was not that you had to be defined only by one thing. Catholics and Protestants all are about equally likely to be rich in there. There's no like thing. If you are Catholic, then it is you who who's had a past of discrimination or are poor generally. In Netherlands, there are equal chances of a Catholic and a Protestant Christian being rich or poor. So, yeah, the region of the United. Mm, so this, Northern Ireland, this is the region of United Kingdom that has been for many years a site of violent and bitter uh, ethno-political conflict. A lot of times you might have heard about the news that there was a political conflicts or so. Then we have its population is divided into two major sects of Christianity. 53% are Protestants, whereas 44% are Roman Catholics. The Catholics are represented by Nationalist Party, who demanded that the Northern Ireland be unified with the Republic of Ireland, which is a predominantly Catholic country. The Protestants were represented by the Unionists, who wanted to remain with the United Kingdom, which is predominantly Protestants. Okay, so hundreds of civilians, militants, security forces were killed in the fight between Unionists and Nationalists. And between the security forces of United Kingdom and Nationalists, it was only 1998 that the UK government and the Nationalists reached a treaty, after which the later suspended their armed struggle. In Yugoslavia, if now we've seen the case of Northern Ireland. Again, I'll discuss it more. Okay, don't worry. Then, if we talk about the case of Yugoslavia, then the story did not have a happy ending. Political competition along religious endings, ethnic lines led to the disintegration of Yugoslavia into six independent states. So, Yugoslavia, it due to these divisions and politicians taking a benefit of it, Yugoslavia was uh, disintegrated into six independent states. Google it up and name all the countries which later were formed due to the disintegration of Yugoslavia. Such examples lead to some people to conclude that politics and social divisions must not be allowed to mix. They think that if it they think that it would be best if there are no social divisions in any country. If social divisions do exist in a country, they must never be expressed in politics. And even if there are social divisions, never expressed in politics, because you know how mean and bad politics can take turn, because everybody wants to be a minister, everybody wants to be hold an office of a good office in the ministry. So that's what happens. At the same time, every expression of social division in politics does not lead to such disasters. But it is not that every political sorry, or every social difference which is there in the country that might lead to a political disaster. It's not always the case. We've already seen the social divisions of one kind or the other exist in most countries in the world. There are so many social differences that exist in most of the countries, and when wherever they exist, these divisions are reflected in politics. And in a democracy, it is only natural that political parties would talk about these divisions, make different promises to different communities, look after due representation of various communities, then and make policies to readdress the grievances of the disadvantaged communities. Social divisions affect voting in most countries. A lot of times these votings in elections are affected by these social divisions. People from one community tend to prefer some party more than others. In countries that are parties that focus there are parties that focus only on one community, yet all this does not lead to disintegration of the country. And we've seen there are so many parties even in India which will support only one particular party, and there are so many parties in India which get the support of one majority community, and so on. And that's there. And then there are the small social groups which become the deciding factor, that with whom do you want to club in, and etc. That's also proportion to the population wise, and that is why they try to gain the support of one community, so that at least that much percentage of votes is assured. Okay. Uh, so if I want to like explain you, I can explain you like this, that the whole this contention was about Northern Ireland, which is actually the northern part of United Kingdom. So if you talk about Northern Ireland, then there are two social groups, religious wise. One are Catholic and other are Protestants. So what happens here is that the Protestants want to remain part of UK, because here in United Kingdom the population of Protestants is more, so they will get more numbers here. Whereas the Catholics of Northern Ireland, which is part of UK, already part of UK, they say that we want to merge with Ireland, because Ireland has more Catholic numbers. So we recognize ourselves more similar to Ireland. But then what happened that in 1998, 8, this was brought to a peace treaty, after which they didn't this armed struggle didn't happen, and Northern Ireland is still part of United Kingdom. Whereas the case of Yugoslavia, it was not as peaceful, matlab, as this thing. It was not an happy ending, because it led to the formation of six different countries, republics today, which are presently Serbia, Croatia, Slovenia, Montenegro, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Macedonia. So you can look at these maps on the atlas, okay, and then see, you can actually see these all regions very nearby. So it happens all over the world, even in Europe. I thought it was only in countries like India that have social divisions. No, every country, whether big or small, they have some sort of division. Okay, now we have seen this. Now we have to study the story of Bulgaria, whether it is the story of Bulgaria, Romania, or it's the story of India. Let's find out. Uh, yep, it's clear. Ganesh had come back from his trip and was talking to um, Maheshwata about the Roma people who live in many countries of Eastern Europe. So they were talking about the Roma people who live in many parts of the Eastern Europe. He met your Danica, who works as a nurse in Bulgaria, and this is what she has to say about Roma people. Being a nurse, you can't refuse to look after some people, but these Roma people are very dirty. Even when something small happens to anyone in their family, all the family and even the neighbors just march to our hospital, and once they are in the hospital, they don't know how to keep quiet. They talk aloud, smoke, drop ashes all over, and spit on the wall. They have no patience. They start pestering our doctors. And when they are just hanging out like that, anyway, they look so aggressive. After all, the dark skinned people don't look like us. They have strange sense of color. Look at their dress. Why can't they try to look like everyone else in the country? And we all know that we all know they are thieves. I have heard people say that these Roma people live by selling their blood. None of them can afford the hospital fee, but when they all are ill, they just rush to the hospital at the cost of good Bulgarians who pay the taxes. So, this is what one of the nurses at a hospital had to say about Roma people. So, let's see, that sounds similar, said Maheshwata. So, the other person says, this conversation is being taken between Ganesh and Mahaswata. Let's see what does Mahashwata says. Uh, Ganesh went to talk about, Mondruzeni, Romani who live in Romania. So then they talk about, Mondruzeni, who's a Romani who lives in Romania. When she was 18 years old, she went to the hospital to give birth to her first child. She had no money to pay to the doctor. Though she was in the hospital, nobody bothered to come and take care of her. Finally, the sweeper, who was also Romania, helped. Her give birth to a boy, and then the nurse appeared on the scene and said, here we have another criminal, talking about how the Roma people are treated in public hospitals. She says these doctors keep us waiting outside their cabins. On the one occasion, one doctor said that take a bath if the if you want to be examined. Of course I smelled. During the pregnancy I ate from the garbage containers because I was so hungry all the time. My husband had left me. I had two children and I was pregnant with a third. The social worker refused my request for food assistance. My neighbor helped me to deliver the baby. I often feel it is better to not to visit the hospital. Mahashweta heard him a Himavran said, Ganesh, why do you have to travel half a way across the world to find out? This is not a new story about Romania or Bulgaria and or about Roma people. This is, as much story as our own country and about our people who've been branded as criminal by our systems. Do you think Mahashweta is right? Do you know some people who in your area have been treated like Romas? Of course, we have many examples. People from scheduled caste, officially known as scheduled caste and often referred as Dalits. They are also treated the same way just because um, they used to do certain kinds of work or they are treated of lower caste. Why? If all individuals are equal, nobody got in say, or there's this social division is just created by us human beings. Have you heard about people say things similar to what Yodanga or Modrizena say here? If yes, then try it, and then think of the story of what would sound like if you heard it from the other side. So just imagine we first you're hearing it from the side of the nurse, who says that these Roma people are very dirty and falana and everything. Then you heard the other side of Roma, one of the Roman, Romani people, who said that these doctors don't even treat us like the other patients, and they make us wait, and they say that you stink and everything. So that's not right. You are there to give service. As a doctor, you are supposed to give service irrespective of what the background or caste or gender they come from. Your only duty as a doctor is to serve people, believe it or not, like it or not. Do you think that the Bulgarian government should try to ensure that the Roma people dress and behave like the other people? No. Why should they do? Every person is unique. If this is the dress of Roma people, then I would say this is such a pretty dress. I mean, this is very pretty, all those flares and skirt and this whole get up. I would say that every person is unique, and every person has a choice of clothes. Some are even culturally influenced. This setup, if this person is wearing these kinds of clothes because in their area wearing these kinds of clothes are normal. If you go to maybe if you go into her area and wearing clothes which you normally wear, you might be the odd one out. So it's not necessary, it actually happens region by region. By somebody who's odd in one place might be among the common in other place, and that's how it goes, like vice versa. Okay, so yeah, we've discussed that part. So here you can see this, this thing in some societies of Northern Ireland, in the colonies of Protestants and Catholic communities are divided by walls. The walls are sometimes filled with graffiti, as you can see here. The Irish Republican Army and the British government signed an agreement in 2005. What does the graffiti here tell about the conflict in the society? So here you can see, in London 1966, clearly they're saying they are comparing dogs, blacks, and Irish. So they're comparing black people and Irish people to dogs and saying then you're not allowed to enter here. And here in 2005, here you can see, can you see the difference? They're saying no racism, no prejudice, no bigotry. If you accept in the, if you believe in the humanity, then you're most welcome. Okay, so here you can see also, you can see the difference in the opinion of the people that time has brought in. Okay. So the determinants, which are the three determinants? Let's see that the three factors are crucial in deciding the outcomes of a politics of social division. What will be the outcome? First of all, the outcome depends on how people perceive their identities. If people see their identities in singular and exclusive terms, it becomes very difficult to accommodate. If you say that only one type is there and everything, then it becomes very difficult. As long as people in other islands saw themselves as only Catholics and Protestants, their differences was difficult to reconcile. It is much easier if the people see their identities as are multiples and are complementary within national identity. Why do you have to think you're Catholic? Why do you think you're a Protestant? Think you are a citizen of United Kingdom. That's better. And when you have multiple identities, you are more able to accept differences and even accept other people. A majority of the Belgians okay, cutting their differences are difficult to reconcile. It is much easier if the people see that their identities are multiple and are complementary with the national identity. A majority of Belgians now feel that they are much Belgian as they are Dutch and German speaking. This helps them stay together. Similarly, then we saw the example of Belgian. We already know how Dutch speaking, German speaking, and third was the French speaking. How they now see more together as being a Belgian than as any language speaker. And this has actually helped them stay together. This is how most people in our country see their identities. They think of themselves as Indian as well as belonging to a state or a language group, or or a social or a religious community. So it's better that you have more identity rather than um, just having one identity, that you are only Hindu, you are only North Indian, South Indian. Don't think that. Think that you're an Indian. Think that you have multiple identities. Accept multiple identities, and that will be the best way to even accept others' views and differences. Second, it depends on how. Okay, on how political leaders raise the demand of any community. It is easier to promote demand that are within the constitution framework and not on and not at the cost of another community. So if you want your demands and etc. to be filled, don't think that for fulfilling your demand, other community will have to step down or will have to bend by. Okay. The demand for Sinhala was at the cost of the interest and identity of the Tamil communities in Sri Lanka. In Yugoslavia, the leaders of different ethnic communities presented demand in such a way that they could not accommodate with a single country, not be accommodated within a single country. So they don't think that only you are the main person. The country is not made by only one social group. It's and especially a diverse country. For example, India. It's made up of many people, many social groups, many different perspectives. So it cannot be that only your view is the main view. Okay. Mm, so that's what it is, how you communicate the differences, and your this thing demands cannot be met at the damage of any other community. Third, it depends on how the government reacts to demands of different groups, as we saw in case of Belgium and Sri Lanka. The rulers are willing to share power and accommodate a reasonable demand of minority community, social divisions become less. Whereas if they are trying to suppress such a demand in the name of national unity, and the end result is quite the opposite. Such attempts are forced integration, often sow the seeds of disintegration. And we've seen a lot of times that how that if you try to force unity, then it becomes even more difficult. And you should, whatever the solution is, they should try to make it a better feasible one for everyone, where everyone feels very accommodated. And for example, there should be, of course, reasonable demands also. You cannot just go and saying that you want that and this. And also the demands cannot be just be suppressed in the name of national unity. That also has to be looked. Thus the assertion of social diversities in a country need not be seen as a source of division. A lot of times we see that it's a if there's this thing that we want a separate separate demand by a state and everything, it's seen as a source of danger. Never think it that way. In a democracy, political expression of social divisions is very normal and can be even be healthy. It's not that every sort division in the sorry every expression in any social different types of divisions, in any social divisions might be very unhealthy. Sometimes it's not that. This allows various disadvantaged and marginal social groups to express the grievances and get the government pay attention to their needs. Every society, every social division, they have their own needs, and they fully have the right to even express them. Expression of various kinds of social divisions in politics often result in the canceling one another out, and thus reducing their intensity. This leads to strengthening of a democracy. you know the usually if expression of one kind of social division in politics, it often results to the cancellation of canceling one another out, and thus reducing intensity, and that's how the intensity is reduced. Okay. You can see passion if you want to play, because it's a mixed batch, whereas racism, you're saying that all the whites together, all the blacks together. This might even lead to strengthening of democracy you're talking about here. But a positive attitude towards diversity and willingness to uh, accommodate it do not come together easily. People who feel marginalized, deprived, and discriminated have to fight against the injustice. It's not that it's very easy. Me saying it right now, it might sound very easy, but it's very difficult. Such a fight often takes. It's not like that it's not possible. It is difficult, but it is very much feasible. Such a fight often takes the democratic path, voicing their demands in a peaceful constitutional manner and seeking a fair position through elections. Sometimes social differences can take the form of unacceptable levels of social inequality and injustice. So sometimes it happens, all these social divisions, they take very wrong turns, and it might lead to more social inequality and injustice. The struggle against such inequality sometimes take the path of violence and defense of the state. And sometimes we do agree that it doesn't end well, and yeah, it might even take the path of violence or so. However, history shows that democracy is the best way to fight for recognition and allow uh, diversity to accommodate. But even after that, democracy is the best way where the needs of all the social divisions and societies can be met if it is done in a proper way. Draw and collect some we are here draw and collect some social images of social divisions in different aspects of life. Can you think of some examples of social divisions or discrimination in the field of sports? So think of examples, how social division and vagera discrimination is done in the field of sports. So you are saying that too many small divisions are better than a single big division. Are you also saying that politics is a force of unity? Somewhere we are saying that small divisions are okay than having one division. Just imagine, um okay, just imagine like this. For example, like the 100%, okay, we take here. Then there are 60 people together who's fighting for one cause, and we have 40 people fighting regarding one cause, okay. This is such a big difference. Of course, the 60% uh, people, who have one motive, they are going to be together. But okay, now imagine the scenario. They total percent 100, and there are like five groups represented by 20 each, okay. Now the one group will be suppressed automatically, because they will say that it will not be suppressed, but suppressed is a wrong word. You should not suppress these social divisions. I mean, the intensity of the fight will be reduced, because they'll see, Array, there are four other groups also who's also demanding, so it won't lead to such becoming such a big threat. That's what they want mean to say here. And also, any force, it's not whether good, bad, or force. They can be it can be a force of unity, or just be a case of disunity. It's not necessary that every political force will lead to disunity in the country, or every political force will lead to unification of the country. It's not like that. For example, you saw the case of Yugoslavia country, and there how the political difference, leadership by everything, and ethnicity and everything, that led to the division of Yugoslavia and the creation of six different new republics. So that is also there, okay. uh, and also, if you try, just like for the basic example, just like you cannot make somebody love you, you cannot force them to stay together, because it will actually more sow the seed of disintegration. That's actually like that. You cannot force somebody to love you. Similarly, you cannot force a divisional or social division which has occurred to be integrated in the bigger one, because the more you do it, or try to do it, the more it's the similar case. The more you try that somebody loves you, that person will go far away. Leave it. And here also, the more you try to um put a social division group, who's already dividing into a forced integration. They will not actually be feel integrated in Falana. They'll be like, you are forcing this in onto us. And that's how it is. So let's do the question and answers here. Discuss the three factors that determine the outcomes of the um, social division. So we've already seen here that how people perceive. Then we've seen this thing, uh, how political leaders take it, and how government react to this. Okay, then what does a social difference become? A social division. Social difference, okay, every society has many social differences, but that's becomes even a bigger social division when these differences, they're taken into account and they create a bigger issue, or they just make a very clear line between this and that, that other people of the other social divisions are given much priority in everything. Then social these small social differences make into social division that says that no, you are that, we are us. Okay, how do social divisions affect politics? Give two examples. How politics, politicians and everyone, how they react or how they do their campaigning, and how they try to try to this thing instigate people against the other communities. Dash social differences create possibilities of deep social divisions and tensions. Overlapping whereas cross-cutting social differences do not usually lead to conflict. We've seen the example of Northern Irelands and all Northern Islands and Ireland. We saw it here, right? um this nether sorry Netherlands and Northern Ireland, we saw it here. So now in dealing with the sorry in dealing with the social divisions, which are the following statements not correct about democracy? Due to political competition and democracy, social divisions get reflected in a democracy. In a democracy, it is possible for communities to voice their preferences in a peaceful manner. Democracy always leads to disintegration on a society on the basis of social division. So this is not correct. It is not that democracy leads to disintegration of society. Consider the following three statements. A social division takes place when social differences overlaps. It is possible that a person can have multiple identity. Yes, social divisions exist only in country. So these are wrong. So matlab this is right, obviously, because they can have multi-social division, and this is wrong. C is wrong. So wherever C is there, it has to be wrong. So it's only one A and B. Okay, that's how you do it. Arrange the following statement into logical sequence and select the right answer by using the code given below. This is the right, where we say some social differences may lead to social divisions. Social divisions are one kind or the other exist, which exist in most countries. Then we have, but all political expressions, social divisions might not be always be dangerous. And then parties to maintain political support by appealing to social divisions. Among the following, which country suffers disintegration? Of course, it's the Yugoslavia and the creation of six other nations. Then read this, and what do you see the relationship of speech and incident? You can do this. We've already discussed the Olympics. Yeah, that's it.